Good morning. I'm at the first ever conference for countering anti-Semitism at the Colony Hotel that was organized by the Palm Beach Synagogue. And Purim is coming up tomorrow night, and Purim is all about anti-Semitism. It's the first story of anti-Semitism when the Jewish people were in the diaspora. And when Esther tells Mordechai to gather the Jews and pray and fast for 3 days, she says to Esther, and me and my maidens will fast and pray to God as well. But she instructs Mordechai, her cousin, to gather to unite the Jewish people. Because the first answer to anti-Semitism is Jewish unity. Only when we come together like today, the Jewish community of Palm Beach, uniting in one voice to stand up and educate ourselves and learn how to counter anti-Semitism. Only when we break down all the barriers that exist between us can we overcome our enemies. The Talmud says the Jewish people are like one sheep surrounded by 70 wolves. All the wolves want to destroy us. And this little sheep is so vulnerable. And therefore the sheep must be a united nation. A nation that will stand up against the United Nations and all the other nations that seek our destruction. If you saw recently, the Amnesty International put out a report, over 200 pages, saying that Israel is an apartheid state. Such a blatant lie when the ruling government in Israel has Arabs in it. The Knesset has Arabs in it. The Supreme Court has Arabs in it. The only country in the Middle East that's a democracy. Yet the world says that we are the apartheid state. And the director of Amnesty International, Mr. O'Brien, came out and said just 2 days ago that Israel does not have a right to exist. And so the first thing is we have to be united. We have to be as one. And together with one voice stand against all of our anti-Semitic enemies. It's a story told about this Jew walking along the beach, and a bottle washes ashore. He opens up the bottle and a genie pops out. And the genie says, I've been trapped here for 2,000 years. Ask me for any wish and I'll grant it. And the Jew says, any wish? Okay, I'll tell you what it is. Moses led the Jews for 40 years in the desert and took them to the one spot in the Middle East that has no oil. And therefore, Israel's at a disadvantage because their Arab enemies, nations around them, have oil and power. If you could only move the oil wells from the Arab countries, from Iran, from Iraq, from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt, and move it to Israel, that would be my one request. The genie says, that sounds like a big request. You have a map of the Middle East? The Jew says, yes. He pulls out the map, he gives it to the genie. The genie looks at the map, studies it, and says, you know, that's a little too difficult to move oil wells thousands of miles. He folds up the map, he gives it back to the Jew and says, ask for something else. And the Jew says, okay, I'll ask for something else. You know, we're a tiny little nation, 13, 14 million people. There are billions of Christians and billions of Arabs and so many people who seek our destruction for centuries. And yet the Jews are divided, Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, Reconstructionist, Humanitarian. This one doesn't talk to this one doesn't get along with that one. If you could only unite the Jewish people into one cohesive, unified group, that would be my second wish. The genie thinks and says to the Jew, let me see that map again. Unfortunately, this has been our greatest challenge. Today, as we get together in Palm Beach, let us begin the dialogue, the unity amongst the Jewish people of how we could all work together to combat the greatest and oldest disease and hatred in the world, which is growing, unfortunately, due to social media and technology. And together, with one voice, standing tall and proud, celebrating our Judaism, we will overcome all of our adversaries, all of our enemies, and every anti-Semitic person, all the way from Haman in the Purim to our present day enemy.